Thank you, Bill. Thank you. And hello and welcome to Uni of Orange County. We're so glad you're here, whether you're here in person or watching us on our YouTube channel. And we always like to begin with our vision and our mission statement. So if you're here or even if you're at home and you'd like to repeat it with us, our vision is centered in divine love. We joyfully co-create a world that works for all. And our mission is to awaken, inspire, and transform lives. So before I go into our normal announcements, I wanted to let you know that we usually do a toy drive for Christmas, but things are different right now, this time of year. So instead, we are going in partnership with South County Outreach hoping to make Christmas 2020 a little brighter for the families in need because they've had a really rough year and Christmas isn't going to be much better. So we are accepting gift cards to Walmart or Target, and we have a drop-off snowman at our church, so you can place the donation in the snowman. The gift cards, and you can do this between November 1st and December 6th. If you have any questions, you can call Kimberly, and this is an email went out on this, or you can email her, or you can just contact us at church, and we'll get you in touch with her. So this is what we're going to do this year, and it's our way to kind of help Christmas, make it a little bit better for those families who haven't had a really good Christmas. And I want to thank those people who have made this service possible. We have Bill on piano, and it's always wonderful having him there. And Matthew and Waverly are live streaming. And Tom is our sound person. And Christopher is on camera. And for our platform meditation and daily word, we have Shanice. So a few other things. We are having our Divine Audacity class this week and on Wednesday, and it's Never Too Late class on Thursday. And today, after the service, on Zoom and live, we're having our Circle of Gratitude. So please join us for that. It's part of our 40 Days of Gratitude leading up to Thanksgiving. And we are going to have a Thanksgiving service the Wednesday before Thanksgiving led by Reverend Allison. And we'll have more information on that as we get closer to it. And so if you're really getting overwhelmed by the stress, like who isn't? Anyway, but if it's really getting to you and you want some prayer, I want you to know that there are people that will pray with you. And all you have to do is email us at uocpray@gmail.com, and we will have someone contact you to pray with you. And if you're buying things on Amazon and you want to help this church, instead of going on Amazon, if you go on smileamazon.com and you put Unity of Orange County as your charity, the price that you pay doesn't go up, but we get a small percentage of that. So it does help the church and it doesn't cost you anything. And now I would like to welcome Shanice for our daily word and our meditation.
Good morning. Daily word for today, Sunday, October 25th, 2020, is listen. In the quiet of my heart, I listen for the voice of Spirit. During the course of a busy day, I may hear all kinds of things, conversations, music, sounds from nature, traffic noise, and even my constant self-talk. Sometimes, all that I'm hearing may numb me to the more intentional act of listening. As I listen, I become aware of the voice of Spirit. Its comforting, guiding presence feels like a homecoming. As I settle into a tranquil environment and begin to relax my body and my mind, I create a welcoming space for listening to the assuring voice of Spirit, discernible as my inner knowing. I breathe deeply and I rest in this space. I go about my day listening attentively for the voice of Spirit expressing through all of the people in my life. And from Luke 11:28, Blessed rather are those who hear the word of God and obey it. So as we prepare ourselves for this time of meditation, I just invite you to gently close your eyes, relax your feet on the floor, settle into the space wherever you are, and just feel all of the weight of your body being supported by the unconditional, ever life-sustaining power of the earth. Feel all of your worries drain through you back into this life-giving earth. You may trust they'll be transformed. And I invite you to take a deep inhale. Breathing in, we say, breathing in, I relax. Breathing out, I let go. And we'll do that again. Breathing in, I relax. Breathing out, I let go. I want you to feel deep in your heart that something wonderful is about to happen. Someone so dear wants to meet you. You have an appointment with the presence, the power of the whole universe, who chose its dwelling place in you. There is no one you have to be. There is nothing you have to do. Just be you. So loved, so good, so true. So as we breathe into this presence, just trust. Don't try. Listen with your heart. Listen with your awareness. Listen with your vitality as we tune in and align with the power and presence of the One who wants to reveal their presence to you, through you, as you. There is no place but here. There is no time but now. There is nothing but love. And we rest in this love. And we say thank you.
Thank you, Bill. These magazines in here, and it says using the Tao for greater planetary awakening and profound change. And I was like, really? Wow, is that a message or what? So it's so perfect because I don't know if anyone, I guess I got introduced to Taoism. I guess it was about 28 years ago or so. Christopher bought me the Tao of Pooh book, which I don't know if any of you read this book. It's just fabulous. And then I really started to get into it. And then I got introduced to Wayne Dyer and his books, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And then he had Living the Wisdom of the Tao, the complete Tao Te Ching, and affirmations. And I loved his book so much, I actually once taught a class on it because I thought it was fascinating. Because he took Taoism and he kind of combined it with New Thought. I mean, it was such a great book. And he tells us that, he says that one of the many gifts of the Tao Te Ching is its mind stretching quality, especially in the way that Lao's Toots use irony and paradox to get you to look at life. If you think that being forceful is the appropriate response, Lao Tse, I can have trouble with his name, urges you to see the value of being humble. If action seems called for, he asks you to consider non action. If you feel that grasping will help you acquire what you need or want, he counsels you to let go and be patient. So, what is this thing? Someone, we talked about this earlier. What is the Tao? You know, we think in terms of world religions as a god, or each religion has a god. But the interesting thing about the Tao is that you can't explain the Tao. In fact, in many things it says if you can explain the Tao, it is no longer the Tao. But Taoism has these fabulous stories that explain the things that seem unexplainable. And so one of my favorite stories is called The Fish in the Ocean. So I have this book called Daily Living with the Tao, and has amazing stories in it. And this comes from that book. And it's What is this thing called Tao? Once upon a time, a young fish asked an old fish, everyone talks about this thing called ocean. What exactly is it? The older and wiser fish answered, the ocean is that which surrounds you on all sides. The younger fish didn't understand. What do you mean? There is nothing around me. If the ocean surrounds me on all sides, why can I not see it? Of course you cannot, the old fish said patiently. The ocean is both inside and outside of you. When you move, it moves with you. When you stop, it stops as well. You were born in the ocean, and you will die in it. It wraps itself around you, just as your own skin does. But how can I tell if it exists, if I can't see it, says the younger fish. You must use more than your eyes. You may not be able to see the ocean, but you can definitely feel it. Trust your feelings. They are the key. Well, for me, that sounds a lot like New Thought. This idea about God being all around us, within us, and without us. We can't see it, we can't smell it, we can't touch it, but there are times that we can feel it. So the Tao is the Chinese for the path. And Taoism is all about a path of living. And sometimes people get confused between Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism because they all kind of start from the beginning. Well, there's this little cartoon. It's actually from the Pooh of the Tao of Pooh. I got so interested in it. When I started reading it, I thought, if we could live this way, we would never have any problems in life. Because it is like water, and they often use water in describing Taoism, because water, if you ever look at a stream, and one time I was doing a meditation on a stream in Kansas, and the stream goes, and if it hits a rock or it hits some kind of obstacle, it doesn't go, oh my God, there's an obstacle. What am I going to do? I got to call 12 people. I got to go read a book. I got to get the movie. I got to do something. It just sees it and goes around it. And that's really what Taoism is about. It's about living life in a way that you can kind of navigate the waters. So one of the things it teaches is simplicity. And what it talks about with simplicity is a term they called, in English it's called the uncarved block. And the reason that the Tao of Pu is written is that Pu represents that. Pu represents the uncarved block. So the uncarved block is the things in which their original simplicity contain their own natural power, which can be lost when the simplicity is changed. And when they talk about simplicity, they're not talking about stupidity. The uncarved block has a still, calm, reflecting mirror mind. So it doesn't allow the people and events around it to change it. So if you've ever read any of Winnie Pooh books or any of the stories about the Pooh, you know that no matter what's going on and no matter what his crazy friends are doing, the Pooh is the Pooh, right? He lives life pretty easily. All he wants is some honey. Give him a little bit of honey, and he has this way of seeing things. He doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't let it change him. That is the simplicity of the Taoism. And another thing that the Tao talks about is going with the flow. We were talking about the water, but it's this ability when life hits us of having something that we can do. So in the same book, there's a story called The Donkey. And I love this story. Once upon a time in ancient China, the people at a village received orders from the regional governor to build a shrine for the emperor. If they could meet the deadline, the governor would reward them handsomely. The chosen location for the shrine had a well, so they needed to fill it up before construction could take place. They bought in a donkey to transport piles of sand and mud for that purpose. An accident occurred. The donkey got too close to the exposed well, lost his footing, and fell in. The villagers tried to lift him out, but could not. After many failed attempts, they realized it would take too long to rescue him. Keeping the deadline in mind, the villagers decided to sacrifice the donkey. They proceeded to shovel the sand and mud into the well, thinking they had no choice but to bury him alive. When the donkey realized what they were doing, he began to wail pitifully. The villagers heard him, but ignored him. The value of the donkey wasn't much compared to the rewards they would get, so they continued to shovel. After a while, the wailing stopped. The villagers wondered about this. Was the donkey dead already? Or did he just give up? What was going on? Curiously, they looked into the well. A surprising sight greeted them. The donkey was alive and well. When the mud and sand rained down upon him, he shrugged them off and then stamped around until they were tightly packed below him. This formed solid ground that lifted him a bit higher each time. Eventually, the donkey got high enough inside the well. With one powerful leap, he jumped out of it. Amazed, the villagers watched as he trotted off with his head held high. So this is what also happens to you and I. Sometimes we act like we're donkey in the well. We get adversity, and what is the first thing we start doing is wailing. crying, complaining, like, why did this happen to me? God, why did you do this to me? Why did the world do this to me? You know, even like coronavirus, why is this happening? As if it was planned against us personally. You know, as if like somebody out there decided to do something to us and they decided to give us this challenge. We wonder, like, why is this happening? And when we practice Taoism, instead of wailing about what the world is giving us, we look and see how we can use what the world is giving us to make it better for ourselves. You know, learning to use adversity for our own benefit instead of trying to fight it is what Taoism is about. We can't change the things that happen to us in the outside. We can only change what we do with it. You know, this is the whole thing about the serenity prayers. How can we do something different with what the world is handing us so that it becomes something that we use for our betterment instead of something that we use for our destruction? And so that is what going with the flow is. It's kind of like looking at what life brings us and finding a way to use it for our own growth. Because when we take the adversities of life and we use them for our own growth, then we grow in consciousness. And then we see that everything that happens to us, happens to us for our own good. And another thing that Taoism teaches is harmony. So there's a Taoist saying, and it says, two engenders one, one engenders two. Two engenders three, three engenders all things. All things carry the yin, femininity, while embracing the yang, masculinity. Neutralizing energy brings them into harmony. So it's this concept that the opposites actually bring in harmony. You know, without day, without night. Without night, we wouldn't appreciate day. We wouldn't appreciate a sunny day if we didn't have a cloudy day. You know, we're living South California, and, you know, people complain when it rains or it's cloudy. But think about it. When it rains, when we have a rainy season, everything is so green and beautiful. The flowers are blooming. And when the sun comes out, it looks like it's clearer. It's as if the sky is cleared because we need both. We don't appreciate the joys in life without the sorrows in life. If everything that happened in our life was for good, guess what, folks? We would get bored. And we would take it for granted, and we wouldn't appreciate the gifts. And so this idea of harmony is also about harmony in relationships. You know, so often we just fight with people because they don't agree with us, instead of looking and seeing, how can we be in harmony with others? So this is another story from the same book entitled You Are Right. One day the sage was having tea with a disciple when they heard a commotion outside. Two men were arguing about something. Their volume got louder and louder. Neither side was willing to back down. After much shouting, one of the men stalked off in anger. The remaining man stood seething. After a while, he came inside to look for the sage. "Master, you must resolve this issue for us," he said. "I tried to reason with him, but he wouldn't listen. He is extremely stubborn." The sage indicated his willingness to help, and the man went on to describe the argument. He explained in meticulous detail why his position was obviously the most reasonable and most correct. "So what do you say, master? Am I right, or is he right?" the man asked. "Of course you are right," the sage said. The man beamed and left off in a good mood. Moments later, the man who had stalked off came back, also looking for the sage. "Master, you have probably heard me arguing a while ago. The other fellow's position is based entirely on false logic, while my statements are based up by solid evidence. Can you resolve this issue for us?" The sage nodded and said, "Of course you are right." The man beamed and left in a good mood. The disciple, who had remained silent all this time, couldn't help but express his puzzlement. "Master, how can this be? If he is right, then the other man is wrong. But you already told the other man he was right. So this one must be wrong. One person is true, while the other is false. They cannot both be true. Am I right? Of course you are right, said the sage. So this idea that has to be a right and it has to be a wrong, and most of our arguments and our problems with people and in relationships are all about this fact that, if I'm right, you have to be wrong. And that we argue the fact that we're right. And sometimes not doing anything is the easiest thing. So I was actually doing Wayne Dyer's book when this had happened, but I had a gentleman come in. I had an insurance agency, and I had a gentleman come in, and he was upset. It was after Hurricane Andrew. He was a really older man, and he had some mental issues, and he came in and he started screaming and yelling at me how I had come into his house and had broken his vacuum cleaner when I was there to settle the claim, and going on, and I'm thinking, I've never been in this guy's house, and he's going on, and he says, and he's calling me this name. It's not even my name, and he's just screaming and yelling at me, and he's calling me some name, and I try to take out my driver's license and show him that wasn't that, but he was just insistent. So finally I just decided to agree with him. I thought, there's no way I'm going to convince this man I am not this person, that I have never gone into his house, that I did not break his vacuum cleaner. And I just sat there and I let him scream and yell and carry on. And I just kept nodding and saying, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right. And all of a sudden, he stopped screaming at me and apologized to me and said, oh, I'm sorry. You're not that person. So I was like, the more I argued with him, the more he insisted I was that person. As soon as I gave up arguing with him, then it was like the argument was over because he didn't have to prove he was right anymore. So the other thing that Taoism is really big and that I've gotten from it is this letting go. Taoism is all about this idea of letting go. And it says, if you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. So many Eastern philosophers teach us about that. They teach us about the thing that change is natural, and that is our fear of change, which causes us all our problems. And it's one of the reasons we have trouble with forgiveness, and we have trouble with letting go of things. So when it comes to forgiveness, it says, forget what hurt you, but never forget what it taught you. So think about this for a minute. The people that you have the biggest resentments against, the people that you've had the hardest time forgiving, those people that you say, I will never forgive that, what they did to me was wrong. And if you think that if you forgive them, that you're admitting that they were right. But what this is saying is you are not admitting that what they did was right when you forgive someone. What you are saying when you forgive someone is that you are not going to let that continue to hurt you years after it happened. We carry along with us this stuff, these resentments and this unforgiveness, instead of looking at it as, what did I learn from this? How did this being hurt actually help me grow? Because I don't know about you, but most of my growth, good growth, positive growth, has happened from negative things that have happened to me. When things are going well in my life, I don't really grow that much because things are going well. Why should I change anything? But when things aren't going well and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, what happens then? I mean, think about it. How often when your life is going great, do you get on your knees and pray to God? Maybe you say a quick gratitude, but, you got it. Life is good. But, oh, my God, when something happens and you know what hits the fan, you are on your knees. You are doing your affirmations. You are praying morning, noon, and night. You are reading every spiritual book you can get your hand on. You are doing everything possible. You're chanting. You're doing whirling dervish. You're trying to spin around. You're practicing every religion out there, trying to find the key that's just going to make it all go well. Instead of just realizing this is life. And this is what life is about. And the Taoists believe this. They understand this. They remember that we can't change the past. What has happened. But once we learn the lesson from it, it no longer haunts us. It's no longer a problem. We can go on and live our life the way we're meant to live it. And so I have a few affirmations. So if you are having trouble and you're in emotional pain right now, which probably, I have a friend who's a therapist and she says most people are in a lot of emotional pain right now. Here are some affirmations that you can use that are kind of based in Taoism. One is people do not always act how I would like them to. I choose to accept them. I know they are on their journey. And other people may hurt my body and mind, but they cannot touch my spirit. I will meet challenges in life, but I will always cope and grow stronger as a result. I am a survivor. Imagine saying positive things like that to yourself when you're instead of those negative thoughts that we go in. And remember this, that every day, the Taoists say, is a new day. Every day we start our life over again, and we choose how we're going to live that life. It's a gift. It's like a blank page, and we decide what we're going to do. So here is a practice to use throughout the day, a Taoist practice. For starting your day, live fully in the here and now. Appreciate the simple things in life. Take responsibility for the unfolding of your destiny. To put yourself in the right frame of mind, it can be helpful to consider these questions. How will I move forward in my life journey today? How will I remain in tune with the Tao? So close your eyes for a moment and take a few deep breaths. And ask yourself this question. How will I move forward in my life journey today? The day starts again right now at this moment. You can choose to look at everything that happens to you today as a gift in your spiritual journey. And how will I remain in tune with the Tao? How will I live in the flow? Like the water, learn to go around the rocks that come into my life instead of butting heads against it. How will I learn to live simply, to be who I am, and to know that who I am is exactly who I am supposed to be, for it is who I was created to be. And to know that we are born to be in harmony with the world around us and with the people around us. Sometimes it's not about being right. It's about being happy. And sometimes being happy means only saying to someone, yes, you are right. And remember to let go. To let go of whatever you feel is holding you back. Because it is not holding you back. It is there to gently nudge you to keep moving forward. To keep finding ways to deal with it, whatever is going on. To be grateful for not only the good that happens in our life, but the things we tend to label not good, knowing they are our greatest teacher. And when we live simply and in harmony and in the flow and letting go. We find that every day we have is a day of joy, gratitude, love, and peace. And for that, we are truly grateful. And we say thank you. And so it is. Amen. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you. You always pick such great music. It always goes right with it. Thank you so much. Here at Unity, we have 5 basic principles, and we like to affirm them each week to remind ourselves and to just remember what it is that Unity believes, especially now because we're selling so many other things. But Unity's 5 basic principles, let's affirm them together, is 1, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. And 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. And 3, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. And 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God good. And 5, I do and give my best by living the truth that I know I make a difference. Enable us to keep going. There's many ways that you can give them at 77977 you can give and text, or you can go through our app. You can go on our webpage, unityoforangecounty.org, or you can mail in your checks, or if you're here, you can give us a donation here. We have a donation box. Way you give, we want you to know that we are so appreciative of whatever gifts you give us. Everybody counts. Some people think, oh, I've had someone say, well, I can't give that much. And, I said it's always like a widow's mite, that it's the person that sometimes can give the least, but their giving is actually the greatest because it is really more for them to give than maybe from someone who has a lot. appreciate all your gifts. I invite you to take your gifts in your hands as we bless those gifts. And if you don't have a donation, just put your hands together and give a blessing. Blessings count as well. So together, divine love through me.